Good afternoon. It's Adil Fazal, acting on behalf of CFDs.com as an analyst and bringing you an afternoon market wrap-up of the European markets. Okay, so the European markets certainly are under pressure this morning given the Greece uncertainty and the fear surrounding a potential Grexit, especially Mr. Tsipras over the weekend was certainly inflammatory and certainly negative headlines, especially the piece with regards to Goldman Sachs stating that the Tsipras experiment is more or less over now. Okay, and that obviously doesn't bode well. The euro itself is slightly down at present, given the fact that the dollar itself is strengthening against the Kiwi and the Aussie. The Kiwi has stabilised, the Aussie certainly has stabilised, but given the fact that we had weaker GDP, or well, interpreted as weak, and given the fact that the economic data on Friday out the US certainly did not support a rate hike anytime soon. Okay, so the dollar itself is certainly into potential resistance, as you can see on the actual dollar chart. I'll just bring that up for you and certainly demonstrate. Okay, so we certainly have the US dollar into its, after a double top that we posted there, we've got a breakout and we are into the fib 75% resistance on the US dollar index. Okay, so the dollar itself certainly is potentially finding resistance, although the uncertainty regarding Greece may well keep it afloat to a large extent until we actually get a deal. So that's certainly something to take into consideration. Okay, so the Asian markets overnight, we basically had the Nikkei more or less flat, potentially bullish, and it continues to remain bullish given the fact that there's certainly a window or of opportunity there for potential more QE down the road, given the fact that the BOJ has pushed forward its inflation target to around 2%, if I can recollect correctly. The Shanghai itself has reversed after last week's obviously 6.5 or 7% sell-off, given the uncertainty there. It was more to do with curbing the actual leverage, okay, and the liquidity, etc. So basically, it's a reversal of 4.7% overnight, which is pretty impressive. Even the Hang Seng itself is up by almost 0.6%. So certainly reversing the losses there. Okay, so that is a potentially bullish scenario, bullish sign. So we are going to neutralize last week's risk to a large extent, especially given the fact that the US markets were under pressure as well late Friday. So from my perspective, the Asian markets certainly have weathered the storm. Their interpretation of the uncertainty regarding Greece isn't held in a potentially risk-off scenario. So it's over to EU equities now. Okay, so it's all about European equities and then the next move there. Obviously, it will be dictated by the actual Euro USD, given the fact that the QE nature of the markets. Okay, we have had European data this morning. Majority of the data itself was relatively strong, except for Germany and the UK missing slightly by 0.5% in terms of its target. So that's certainly something to take into consideration as well. But overall, the market seems to be digesting the actual the weakness. The DAX is more or less almost flat on the day. The CAC itself is positive on the day, as you can see there. The Euro Stoxx potentially positive as well, to a large extent, or potentially flat. So we certainly have factored in all the bearish news or regarding Greece, from my perspective, from a fundamental perspective. So and there does seem to be some positive remarks regarding a reconciliation or potential deal going forward. So that itself should be bullish going forward from my interpretation thus far. Okay, especially with the QE front loaded and the ECB obviously supporting the European equity markets, it certainly does remain bullish from my perspective. Okay, right. The Chinese news overnight as well, I'll just discuss that as well. The Chinese news overnight came in more or less in line, nothing drastic, no drastic fall, so certainly in line, and they basically were strong enough to be one, bullish, two, obviously keep the liquidity taps open, the stimulus taps, the interest rate cuts taps open. So for going down the road, that's certainly bullish for Asian equities. So given the fact that Asian markets are higher, even with the Greek news, that itself, from my perspective, is a show of strength. Okay, the dollar itself, obviously, as you can see, is being into resistance. The oil prices did certainly rally last week, and the rally itself certainly does seem to be holding thus far. The copper price is coming into potential support, although it has broken down after the actual economic data that's come out. But we are coming into potential support zone as well with regards to the copper, or price of copper itself. Now the price of oil, I can bring that up for you, given the fact that we have pushed higher. Okay, so you've got an inverted head and shoulders formation, as you can see there, and we certainly seem to be holding this previous resistance equal support region here inside bar today, and we'll see whether or not we can hit this 200 MA. That certainly seems to be the potential target. The 4-hour chart itself, as you can, should demonstrate an inverted head and shoulders. As you can see, left shoulder here, head, right shoulder being put in, and a potential breakout looming. Okay, so that's certainly something to consider. Now, with regards to the actual equities themselves, let's start with the FTSE 100. Give you an insight with regards to that. The daily chart itself is holding this diagonal trend line. I did take a trade this morning and got stopped out. I entered around the 7,000, got stopped out at 6,971, so I got stopped out for -30. But it is showing signs of support, especially given the fact that the Shanghai is up by 4.7%. That should certainly keep the FTSE afloat from my perspective. This morning we did have a rally at the open, but we have obviously fizzled out. We went as high as 7,040, as you can see here. If I look at the chart, you had a high of 7,037. Obviously the markets gave all that back. Now we are obviously in this region here, a potential support region at 6,960. Okay, if that fails to hold, then you are looking for the next support around the 6,930, 6,950 region. If I just bring up a chart of the 60 minutes, we should get a better gauge of potential support with regards to the FTSE 100. Okay, so you have support here on the 6,940, you have support here on the 6,960 region. So these are two areas of support. Okay, you do have this double top resistance at 7,060 that certainly needs to be adhered to. But for now, the FTSE itself, it has support at 6,960. You have support at 6,945, and then obviously the ultimate support at 6,930 region. And they're the two areas that we need to certainly observe in terms of support and resistance. We do have this trend line here that will certainly need to be observed as well. You're looking at around the 6,950 level. Certainly, again, it coincides with these two diagonal and horizontal support zones as well, so certainly keep an eye out for that itself. Okay, the German DAX now. Let's bring up the chart of the German DAX, give you an insight with regards to the German DAX. We have a 10-minute chart, has a downward sloping expanding pattern. Itself is considered to be bullish. Okay, you do have an inverted head and shoulders forming now as we speak, as you can see here. You have your left shoulder here, okay, and then you have the head here, okay, and then you have the right shoulder forming, and then obviously looking for a thrust higher. So your neckline is around the 11,430 region, your head is around the 11,340, so you're looking for a 100-point move around the 11,550. Potential so resistance is 11,513, so don't be surprised if you actually see that being hit. Okay, right, the actual German DAX on the daily chart, just quickly give you an insight with regards to that. The daily chart itself does have an inverted head and shoulders. We are into the fib 75%. If that fails to hold, then obviously we certainly go back to the double bottom here at 11,160, given the uncertainty regarding Greece. Okay, the French CAC certainly seems to be the stronger out of the two. Pretty impressive. Let's bring that up for you. Let's go to a daily chart to start off with. Okay, daily chart, as you can see here, we have this diagonal trend line support. We have a doji at gap fill, so again, two arguments there for a bounce in the CAC. Okay, 60-minute chart is holding its key support level, as you can see, diagonal trend line support, gap level support, so certainly boding well, and we are looking for a potential reversal here as well. 10-minute chart itself has an inverted head and shoulders formation too, very similar, downward sloping trend line, so you have this breaking below her and looking for a potential reversal. You also have a mini inverted head and shoulders formation here, so two inverted head and shoulders formations. Okay, right, that's the chart of the French CAC. Let's quickly bring up the chart of the Euro Stoxx, give you an insight with regards to that. Okay, same type of pattern, inverted head and shoulders formation, as you can see here. Okay, same type of bearish channel that we are looking on the verge of breaking. You are in this zone here. Okay, so if I just connect these two together, you got a downward sloping contracting wedge, and then obviously looking for a breakout. You do have an unfilled gap at 3680, so again that should act as a magnet. 60-minute chart itself, as you can see, we're back into that horizontal support, looking for potential bounce higher. Daily chart itself, again, diagonal trend line support, and we are looking for obviously a potential bounce here. Okay, I think I've summed up the European markets. I'll bring up the chart of the Euro USD because that is very important at this well, in this current environment. Okay, so let's just bring that up for you. Euro USD. Okay, Euro USD certainly is a potential support on the daily chart, or 4-hour chart should I say. 60-minute chart, bring that up for you, give you an insight with regards to that. You are, again, you had this inverted head and shoulders. We failed to close that gap above, so again that gap certainly acts like a magnet. Okay, so just look at potential support zones now. So you do have a support zone here, so again that needs to be observed, and you have a support zone here as well. You have had a bullish engulfing candle, so that's something that we'll certainly keep an eye out for. Daily chart again is into that fib 61%, so watch out for the Euro USD with regards to support in this zone. And again, you do have this inverted head and shoulders pattern, which I've already highlighted, is on the weekly chart. Okay, you have a bottoming tail and looking for a potential reversal here with some type of resolution, etc., with regards to Greece. Okay, folks, I think that's enough. That's a wrap on behalf of CFDs.com. Doing analysis and some research and market commentary on their behalf. Certainly visit the website cfds.com for those of you that are new to trading or looking to trade or are interested in trading. Certainly worth a visit. So cfds.com. I'd encourage you to have a look at their platform and what they have to offer in terms of trading. Okay, folks, so that's a wrap. Goodbye now.